Is that you? Oh! What the fuck was that?
I'm coming, Papa Bear. Ladies and gamermen, I present to you a game that has the word cyber in it that's actually good? Cyber Shadow is yet another 8-bit style game that pays homage to that brutally difficult era of the 80s and early 90s, particularly in this case the original Ninja Gaiden series. I've never played these games before, and honestly, I don't think I ever want to. I was born in the 16-bit era, and even those games are hard enough for me. Cyber Shadow takes place in a futuristic setting where you play as a cyborg ninja trying to save the remainder of his clan from being wiped out by a race of sentient synthetics. The game gives you plenty of story cutscenes and background lore to give you more insight, and overall does a pretty good job at it. There are even NPCs to talk to frequently if you want to learn even more. There are times here and there where it can be pretty hard to follow though. Now look, I need to be honest with you guys. I haven't actually finished the game yet, but I'm working on it. I'll get there. Maybe. But I think I've played enough to give you guys my full thoughts on it. There are also more games coming out on Game Pass that I'll want to cover as well. You can consider this a mini review if you wish. All I'm saying is, this will most likely be the only video I make about it. Bottom line is, the game is hard. Very fucking hard. You will die a lot. Even if you are experienced with these types of old school hardcore platformers, you're still likely to get stuck occasionally. Sometimes it will feel like absolute bullshit. The game will test you to the absolute limit. Normally, I hate playing these kinds of old style games. They have that cheap, unfair, dirty play that always makes you feel like you get sand kicked in your face just for laughs. I hated this game at first, but then the more I played, the more the game's mechanics opened up for me. Cyber Shadow's excellent feeling of progression is what's really keeping me going. Killing enemies and hitting lights and containers yield materials that you can use to buy temporary upgrades, HP and mana refills, and defensive measures at each checkpoint lasting until the next. Throughout your playthrough, defeating certain bosses or passing challenge trials will often reward you with new permanent upgrades, gadgets, or skills that really helps keep the gameplay feeling fresh. The shuriken, for instance, is a ranged weapon that is really useful for killing off weaker enemies from a distance. The parry skill, which you get later on, is especially a very handy and essential technique in which you can throw enemy projectiles back at them when you time it right. There are plenty of other really cool tools you'll acquire throughout, all of which serve to be incredibly useful, but you will also need to conserve your mana consumption carefully, and perhaps only use these skills when absolutely necessary, like when you need to get those sweet HP and SP upgrades. Another reason I haven't given up on this game, and will not give up on it, are the checkpoint station placements. Maybe at times they can feel a little too spread out in some chapters, but they will always give you a checkpoint right before every boss. Thank you. This is definitely generous enough. I can keep dying and dying to the same boss while learning its attack patterns and forming my own strategy, without ever having to worry about not getting hit by anything along the way there. This game has freaking fast travel stations too. I was not expecting being able to backtrack to previous sections of the city to access areas I couldn't previously get into when I first went through there. This technically makes Cyber Shadow a Metroidvania game. Hell, there are even shortcuts to unlock. There are also no load times. None whatsoever. I can quit to the main menu and come back in like no time at all. When you die, you immediately get sent back to the last checkpoint. No waiting. When a game demands a ton of practice and trial and error from the player, not having to wait at all to respawn really makes a big difference. Oh, and did I forget to mention how incredible the soundtrack is? overall, even though I haven't yet finished the game to completion, this is definitely one of the best retro-style games I've played in recent memory. I think I'm actually now enjoying this a little more than the Bloodstained Curse of the Moon series. And that's not to say I like Ninja Gaiden more than Castlevania, it just means I like Cyber Shadow more than Bloodstained. Although I do wish the game had the same amount of accessibility options that Bloodstained offers for more casual players. My score for Cyber Shadow, at least so far, would be an 8 out of 10. Yes, maybe it is closer to a 7 just because of how the difficulty can feel really cheap and suddenly ramped up at times, but I'm giving it a solid 8 due to how well the mechanics work, how fast and tight the controls are, a good amount of replay value, and how rewarding it all feels the more you progress. For veterans of these old-school, unapologetically hardcore platformers, consider this another one to add to your collection. For everyone else who prefers their controllers to stay in one piece, I'd probably do my absolute best to avoid this one. As for me, where are all the 16-bit games? Give me more 16-bit style games like Axiom Verge or Blasphemous. I appreciate bringing back the 8-bit, but come on, I'm getting a little tired of these. Show some love for me and my Genesis bros. Until next time, thank you very much for watching.
The Gamer Gods!